G'day guys, good to see all your beautiful faces again. Gonna be doing a banded series for you. Alright, I know there's a lot of bodyweight workouts going on around, but a lot of us don't know really like how useful it is to have one of these bands. Okay, instead of having to get lots of bits of equipment, you guys can grab 1-2 bands and you can add resistance to every single one of your main movements and give yourself a lot more variety of what we can do. Okay, I'll put a link down in the description below of the type of band I'm talking about, but we're looking at those long resistance bands. You can also get some of those smaller booty bands. Okay, these are super effective to add resistance where you don't really have to change anything really from the bodyweight work you guys are already doing, even any resistance-based work you guys are doing. Okay, now what are the benefits of using these bands? 1, adding resistance. Okay, 2, increasing the resistance at the top of a movement specifically. So just say we're doing a squat, for example. When you're at the bottom, it's not going to do much. When you're at the top, that's where it's adding greatest amount of resistance. This is good for, well, 1, doing something a little bit different, getting a bit of variety into our training, because if you're not used to getting resistance in that area of the movement, all of a sudden now you can. So this is something where you can work on different types of your training that you haven't been doing in your training previously. And it's also a good way to get some resistance from a non-vertical direction. With free weights, even and with body weight work, it all comes from gravity essentially, from the top below. Okay, so we're unable to do anything on a horizontal direction. Our back is the number one thing which we sacrifice when we're doing bodyweight work, because it's very hard, apart from just pull-ups, very hard to get some back work in where we're fighting gravity. So this is a good way where we can start to incorporate that into it. Now, as we've been doing a lot of these different workouts, guys, it's important that we're now able to step it up. We're going to be fucking stuck in isolation for probably another 10 years. So you probably want to do something where we're actually going to try to now start to think about improving, not just maintaining. Number one thing I would say is you train close to failure. There's different muscle fibers in our body. We have slow twitch fibers, we have fast twitch fibers. Our fast twitch are the stuff where you're doing explosive efforts, sprinting. Okay, your 1 rep maxes where you're putting heavy weight on your back. You might do just 1-2 reps. Okay, with these workouts, these banded workouts and bodyweight workouts, we're mostly working on our slow twitch fibers. Okay, now when we're doing our slow twitch fibers, it's important that you're still going close to failure. It's the only way you can make a muscle grow. So I would say instead of giving yourself a rep count here, I would just go close to failure every single time. If you're saying I'm just going to do 12 reps when you could do 50 of them, do 50 of them. Okay, don't limit yourself to just a rep count. Number 2, I would still focus on progressive overload. Number 1 thing when it comes to growth is doing more than you did previously. Now, when all that simply means, I would come up with a bit of a program. Okay, write down which exercises you're going to do, and I would write down how many reps you get for a movement. Then the next week or the next time you do that workout or that movement, do more. Okay, so if I did 30 this time, I'll do 35. Right, easiest way to improve. I would also then add in some contrast training. Now, contrast training is basically doing a strength-based movement or a standard compound movement followed immediately by explosive movement or plyometrics. Okay, so all that would be, for example, if I'm doing a squat, I'll just do a regular squat. Okay, however many I can get out, just say I get out 15, and then I'll straight away take that band off and I'll do some squat jumps. By putting that straight in afterwards, you're able to recruit more muscle fibers and more of those fast twitch fibers, so we're able to then hit those different fiber types still. So you're not completely just skewing towards the side of your slow twitch work. Okay, I would also focus on a lot of the same movements, right, and do more total sets. So you're obviously doing more total reps, okay, but when we're working our slow twitch fibers, you want to be working over a longer period of time. So that would also be more sets, and you want to be exposing yourself to that same tension the whole time. I would also aim to train more frequently in those muscle fiber types. So I would do somewhat of a push-pull type workout, lower body push-pull, okay? And I would try to hit each muscle group 2 to 3 times. Now, when you're not working those big, heavy, fast twitch fibers, you have a much greater recoverability from that. So you don't want to rest for too long. I would aim for for 2 to 3 times a week, 20 to 30 sets per muscle group. Okay, if they recover a lot faster, you don't want to create a large enough window for them to start declining. Okay, as soon as they've recovered, bam, hit it again, bam, hit it again. Okay, that's the only way you're really going to be able to grow throughout this period of time. You're not going to get much substantial results, but you can minimize how much you decline and you can maximize how much you can incline or grow by increasing how many sets you do per muscle group per week and increase how often you hit those muscles. So I would start my workouts with a compound movement. You can modify this however you want. When I'm trying to prioritize my quads, I'll step a little bit more narrow. When I'm trying to get more of my glutes, I'll step a bit further apart. I then went into some leg extensions, and now this is one where we're really able to start seeing the benefit of having different angles of resistance. So I've got this bench here which enables me to then just sit on the bench, but if you guys have any attachment point, you can use anything like a door handle, a table, something like that, and then you can just place a bench or a seat somewhere in front of it. Okay, the important part here is that your knee starts in front of your toes. You're working on bending and straightening your knees here, so you want your foot to come behind your knees at the back of the movement. You're thinking more about pushing your foot forward, okay? Whenever you're using these resistance bands, you're trying to allow that band to create the resistance. As I said, we're not so much focusing on gravity here, we're using the band to create resistance. I then moved into some posterior chain work. Okay, so I started with another compound movement. We've got our sumo deadlifts. Putting in some sumo variations allows you to hit more of the outside of your glutes, which is very hard to do when you're just doing bodyweight stuff. So sumo deadlifts, and I do more of a Romanian deadlift, so I'm getting more of my glutes and my hamstrings, whereas if you're doing a more conventional deadlift, you're going to get more of your quads involved. Then I went into some good mornings. Okay, with the good morning, I like front loading some weight. Okay, when you're front loading some weight, it forces you a bit more core engagement, and that's something which you want to make sure is really switched on when you're doing good mornings. You're trying to get your glutes active here, so you want to be thinking more about pushing your hips back rather than bending forward. That weight / your kind of shoulders should always stay over the top of your feet. That's how we know we're able to use our muscles and not just worrying about damaging our spine. You shouldn't have that weight come in front of your center of gravity. Then going into some kickbacks, once again, find any kind of hinging point, attachment point that's on a horizontal position to where you're going to put it on your feet, and you can just press up against the wall if you need to, just anything to stop you from moving forward towards the band, and you're literally just trying to straighten your leg as much as you can, okay? You're not so much thinking about kicking forward, back, whatever, you're just trying to bring your body from a bent position to a straightened position. This is one of my favorite band exercises, my hamstring curls. Once again, find yourself an attachment point somewhere low to the floor, and then you just want to hook it behind your heels. Now, you don't want to lengthen all the way out because that's when you risk the band falling off you, which isn't super necessary. You want to maintain resistance on that band, focus on that top range. Remember, as we spoke about before, those bands are very useful for putting resistance at the top of the movement, so focus on the top range when we're doing these workouts. And then another variation of the kickback, we've got a 45-degree kickback, okay? So you want to make sure you're slightly on an angle, okay? And then this way, it's just somewhere between a straight line and a side kick, right? This will get more of like the outside of your glutes. It will also get a bit towards the bottom of your glutes, okay? Or you're thinking about trying to lock the rest of your body in position, and you're just kicking those heels about 45 degrees. And then just a little bit to get my heart rate up at the end, where I'm just pumping some blood into those muscles. A good way to finish off a workout, just some takeoffs. Okay, some resisted takeoffs. See how I'm being a bit of a coward here. I didn't really travel too intensely or too far. Okay, but this one, you want to get down low and drive through your legs, thinking about pushing your feet through the floor. Thanks for listening in, guys. That's your first part of your banded series, working on our lower body. Okay, please follow me on Instagram. Share and like this video if you want to see more of this content out. Okay, fairly new to this, but I want to be able to bring you guys a lot more content because I've got a lot of stuff in my brain that I'd love to share with you guys. So please, if you know anyone that could benefit from this, send it their way. As I said, follow me on Instagram, Coach Jason Durant. The link will be in my bio. Anything that you guys want me to go over in the future, any more content that you want to know, or any questions you have, please comment in the comments below. The next one I'll bring out will be a push style workout, okay, and then I'll also do a pull style workout.